Fuck it, we can do it without the intro. God damn it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tagline podcast. That was my intro for the day because the goddamn. I tested it like 3 times before we got started, and the intro won't fucking work.
I'm supposed to be the angry one, Jan. Uh,
I'm the salty one, dude. You know this. Oh, God.
yes.
Yeah, well, welcome, everybody, to the Tagline podcast. I am, of course, your host, the Meerkat Monarch, and with me today, as always, is my co-host and friend.
Gene the Angry Penguin. And today we will be talking about director Terry Gilliam and his interesting body of work.
Yes.
We're actually going to skip, for anyone who doesn't know, you would, even if you've seen any Monty Python, you've seen some of his films.
Yeah.
He is the guy who did all the little weird art for and now for something completely different. And I believe he directed all of their movies.
He and Terry Jones co-directed a lot of the movies.
Okay.
Life of Brian was Terry Jones's work. Well, or no, let me see. No, I got that the wrong way around. Holy Grail was co-directed by them, and then think I seem to remember that Terry Gilliam took the directing job in. Oh God, my nerd cred is going to hell in a handbasket today, because I can't remember if they co-directed that one.
Well, either way, we're not going to be discussing the Monty Python
No, no,
films.
we'll start with
Direct.
his first sort of standalone movie, which was probably a movie that a lot of people think he did during the Monty Python years, but it actually was done before Life of Brian, but it's with the Monty Python guys, but it's not a Monty Python movie officially, and that's Jabberwocky.
And this one I don't know a lot about. I watched it once a long time ago,
Yeah,
and didn't get to find a copy to watch it for this week. So just to let y'all know, this will be spoiler heavy. But
yeah.
considering the newest film we are going to talk about came out in 2013, we're not going to feel bad about it.
No, because he's working on his lifelong project as we speak as well. He's working on the dramatization of Don Quixote, so
Yeah,
that's
I noticed that The Man Who Killed Don Quixote is his next
yeah.
film on the list.
Yep. Well, let's just cut right into it because Jabberwocky was his first sort of solo project where he directed, and he didn't write the screenplay, but he was he you can see the sort of start of the auteur, or the more, yeah, the artist that we all know as Terry Gilliam in that first movie, because there are a lot of weird shit. It's very surreal. It's very Monty Python-esque in the fact that there's a lot of humor. Michael Palin plays the main part, which is basically a medieval peasant that is really in love with this local. Well, they call her a local beauty, but she really isn't. So yeah, and you can sort of see the start of his genius, basically. I know it's a very loaded word, but it's the way that, yeah. You haven't seen it, right?
Ice. No. I think I started to watch it, and whether I wasn't in the mood for it or didn't realize what I was sitting down to watch when I started it, I couldn't get into it, and I watched the first little bit. It
Yeah.
really doesn't have that high of a production value. Uh, you know, at that time, it didn't have even the money backing it that
No,
the
no.
normal Monty Python.
No, and the fact is that it was made right after Holy Grail, which kind of explains why it looks the way that it does, because those guys were um yeah, it was the original way that that movie was shot, the Life of Brian, even though they didn't have like a huge ton of money, they did have more money than Jabberwocky, the production Jabberwocky, because yeah, it was it's definitely something that you can see the Monty Python in it, because
Yeah,
it mocks the idea of nobility. It mocks the idea of um, most sort of English saga esque type of deals. It's very lighthearted, and the same as for the second movie that he also makes. It's very lighthearted, even though the ending is fucking dark as hell. Time Bandits.
oh my God.
Yeah,
And that this begins a theme as we go through these films. The
yeah,
endings, no matter how light and fluffy the film is, some of these endings are some of the most gut wrenching, tear your heart out kind of what in the world did I just watch kind of thing.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. And Time Bandits is definitely the start of. That's when you really see the Terry Gilliam we all know and love, because
And
the
fear.
yeah, the fear is in there. The idea of death is also there. There's a lot of the typical type of Terry Gilliam themes in that movie, even though it sort of give the pretense of being a kids movie. It really isn't.
Well,
It's really fucking dark. It is
re-
extremely dark.
brief synopsis. Basically, these seven, I don't know, dwarves,
Yeah, yeah,
seven or eight, uh, have stolen God's map.
yeah,
The idea behind the movie is that God made the universe in 7 days, which was kind of a rush job.
yeah,
So there's holes in it everywhere. And these guys work for God fixing the holes.
yeah,
And they stole his map and they end up running through this kid's bedroom. And the kid gets sucked along on their journey through time. They end up getting drunk with Napoleon and robbing him blind.
yeah,
Uh, and at the same time, they're being chased by God, who wants his map back,
yeah,
and evil. I don't know if you could call him the devil, but he's evil, as I think of
yeah.
it.
He's here's the thing: the idea behind those type of movies, or that movie, is the idea of, okay, God isn't perfect him either in that scenario, but still he has a plan, a contingency plan in motion all the time if something goes wrong. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And the characters in that movie, the kid is that typical sort of outsider kid that it's the it's the darker version of Neverending Story, basically, because it's
Yes,
the yeah,
it's never ending story. If instead of going into a world of fantasy, you realized you lived in real world and God was kind of a dick.
yeah,
Uh, you know, the all of these films in some way reflect some. You can just basically watch Terry Gilliam's films and watch his philosophies on life unfold before your eyes.
Yeah.
One of the best lines in this whole film is basically after God just abandons him at the end of time because he's got more important stuff to do.
Yeah.
After they've defeated evil. And the best line in the movie is, "Mom, Dad, don't touch that. That's pure evil."
Yeah, and that's the ending of that movie is the real reason why I love that movie, because it is the quintessential Gilliam movie in my opinion. Even though I love his other works as well, that is definitely one of the most. That's what you get if you put Terry Gilliam unchecked. If you have him make a movie completely unchecked, that's what you get. Gene? I think Gene dropped again. Damn it, I hope there's nothing wrong on my end. So, I'm all alone. Damn it. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, this is kind of embarrassing that he dropped like that. Damn it, that was. And the worst part is he kind of predicted it as well, because he said, "Oh shit, that means we're gonna draw. That means I'm gonna. My computer will decide not to work. Right after or halfway through the podcast," and it became true. So, Jean is officially a witch. Yeah. This is kind of embarrassing. Yeah, he dropped completely. This is the failure of everything. I'll just let that stand there. This is not part of the official podcast. This is just us fucking up. And Gene's back. Are you back, buddy? I can't hear you. Ah, there, we can hear you again.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Technical difficulties on my end.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Did you finish praising Time Bandits?
Yeah, I kind of, when you dropped, I was, oh shit. I was kind of inviting you to comment on it as well, and I was left with dead air for 10 seconds, and then I realized, oh shit, Gene may have dropped. Yeah.
Well, speaking of communication issues, we can move on to Brazil.
Yeah, oh, yes. That is the perfect... Hey, we planned it all along. This was a very fucking elaborate segue, okay? Technical difficulties, and then just, yeah. Then we could talk about Brazil. Do you want to lead into that? Because I know you really like Brazil.
Well, Brazil is one of those films. I need to go back and rewatch it really badly.
Yeah.
There are Brazil is Terry Gilliam's telling of um, a dystopian future,
Yeah.
similar to 1984
Yes.
Fahrenheit or Brave New World. More like a Brave New World than anything else.
Yes. I agree very much on that. And the fact that it's this kind of, and I think that's he is Terry Gilliam might be a bit of a libertarian at heart, because he that entire movie is about a bureaucracy gone completely off the rails. It's
Well,
big government
and,
gone wrong.
and see, I wouldn't go in that direction, because I know you hadn't gotten to see Zero Theorem. I watched it yesterday,
Yeah.
and I'm going to tie these two in because his newest film, Zero Theorem, and this film tie in really well together.
Okay.
They do. Because Brazil is about a bureaucracy, an entire world run by a bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely hilarious.
It's like
Except,
the Vorgon home planet, basically.
yeah, it's absolutely hilarious until you realize that these people are the machine, the bureaucracy doesn't care. It will grind you up and spit you out.
Yes.
And basically this is the story of somebody who tries to go against the bureaucracy and gets ground up and spit out.
Yeah.
If you've ever watched it and you saw a happy ending, you did not get to watch Terry Gilliam's cut of the film.
No, it's very, very true, because the ending of the director's cut is fucking dark again, and he loves to end his movies dark. He fucking loves it.
Well, it's like I don't know if you got into the exact ending of Time Bandits, but basically Time Bandits ends with the kid being abandoned by God and then his parents dying.
Yeah.
Uh, and all his friends are gone.
Yeah.
That's how that children's adventure story ends.
Yeah.
Um, Brazil ends with your main character who you've gone through all these wacky, weird, and this is horrible to say, bureaucratic adventures,
Yeah.
only to have him realize that it's a dystopian novel. You know how these things end. Uh, he ends up in the hands of the machine and he's just done. He loses connection with reality, goes insane while they're torturing him, and fades off into this imaginary world where the studio ending is he runs away with the woman, and the real ending is it goes back and it's two guys saying they accidentally broke him.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
Yeah,
and
it's
and,
it
and
is it is it is it's how I feel like the Matrix originally should have ended.
oh come
Yeah. I wanted a unhappy ending of the Matrix. Okay, you can't hear me now? Gene. Gene? Can you hear me, buddy? I think he cut out again. No, he's back. He's back. He's back. He's back. Probably. Hopefully. Are you back? I can hear you. Gene? Yeah, well, every time he inhales, man, it's weird. It's really, really weird. Yeah, I don't know how to tie in this, but the Brazil is the type of movie that I've always, yeah. This is very fitting for the bureaucracy side of it. Please stand by for more Gene. It's not that I can't run a podcast without, but I'm just sort of prepared to bounce things off of him. Damn it, this episode is really, really embarrassing. The fact that we... I can hear you.
I must continue to apologize. I was so very excited about talking about Terry Gilliam's films.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a pain today.
Yeah. Oh. Don't worry about it. I mean, we're at Brazil at least. We might have to do this, twice to actually get some coherent fucking conversations.
Well, look, and the next film.
Yeah.
Just to push ahead, the next film I doubt a lot of people have actually seen, which is a real shame.
Yeah, the Baron von Munchausen is probably one of the... It feels like it is the movie where he tried to go back to the Monty Python days, make another Monty Python movie, but this time on a real fucking budget.
Well, and as opposed to all the other films in this list, this one is a little bit different.
Yeah.
This one's pure fantasy. This is fun for the sake of fun.
Yeah.
This is him just having a laugh and taking you on a journey and telling you a story about the world's greatest liar, who might not be lying.
Yeah, and it's kind of reminiscent of a Tim Burton movie, which I really love, which is Big Fish. And it is that idea of the storyteller, maybe he's just exaggerating his stories to make them more entertaining, but it actually did happen the way that he says it happened.
Yeah, because there's a difference between telling a story and living an experience. When you're telling someone a story, you cut out the boring bits, you exaggerate the interesting bits, and you have a story worth telling.
Yeah.
And I don't want to... This one, honestly, of all of them, I don't particularly want to spoil because it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. It is an amazingly... If you've seen, like, the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus or Big Fish, and you love that, you will love the adventures of Baron von Munchausen. It is probably the most... Yeah, it's like you're saying, it's a movie he made for the fun of it. It seems like they had a blast making that movie.
And it's a great adventure, lots of neat little set pieces, lots of big names in it. I mean, lots of big names in it. Cameos out the wazoo, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah. So maybe we shouldn't discuss too much on that, because it's the kind of movie that you have to see. And Kel just said Big Fish was such a horrible movie. Yeah, well, maybe, but Baron von Munchausen is a far, far better movie. It's
in no way grounded in reality like Big Fish was.
Yeah.
The place where this film starts is where Big Fish's fantasies were, and then it goes up from there.
Yeah. And speaking, it seemed like he was on this whole fantasy run in the next movie as well, because the next movie is The Fisher King, and is...
if you are a Robin Williams fan, and you have never seen The Fisher King, you need to go watch it.
Yeah.
this is another one of those just wonderful little films I don't think enough people have seen, and you never hear anyone talk about it. And it's dark as all hell.
Yeah, and
But
it's the perfect role for it was the perfect role for him as well, because it balanced the funny zany person with the guy who loved the drama. I mean, there are a lot of he did a lot of dramatic movies where he also used humor, but in this movie it was kind of understandable. It was understandable why he was as zany as he was. It was understandable why he was that crazy. And again, I don't want to spoil too much, because that is also a movie that you have to watch to be able to understand it. And there's so much emotion and heart laid into that script, and
yeah,
you can tell that Terry Gilliam put his own spin on it. He didn't write the screenplay for The Fisher King, which he did for a lot of the other movies, but this one, oh, you dropped again? Damn it! This is, yeah, okay. I'll just continue. The amount of heart that was put into. Oh, you're back again. Good. The amount of heart that was put into not Thailand, but the screenplay for Fisher King is amazing, in my opinion.
hey, I got back in time. You didn't even notice I'd disappeared that time.
I did notice, but I just kept talking over it.
No, but I know I just praised Robin Williams before I got cut off there, but Jeff
Yeah,
Bridges is incredible in it too. Uh,
yeah,
they play off each other and so well in this, and
yeah,
the different places they're coming from and the different people they are in the film.
yeah.
It's just this wonderful interplay, and like I said, dark, not the happiest story in the world, not by a long shot,
No,
but
and
definitely.
it's a heartful story as well. It's really well written. The characters are well versed. They, it's yeah, it's yeah, it's a wonderful Terry Gilliam movie.
Yeah, so I guess we'll move on to now we're entering kind of the
Yeah,
studio phase, the kind of the upward swing into the big money movies. I
yeah,
don't want to spend too much time on 12 Monkeys.
yeah. I mean, 12 Monkeys is. It's the studio Terry Gilliam movie, because there are
Well,
some sort of very artsy things in that movie that is really cool. The way he ties the ending with the actual beginning of it's very Hollywood esque, but it's still very much Terry Gilliam as well. Because yeah,
and if you haven't seen any other Terry Gilliam films other than maybe 12 Monkeys and Fear and Loathing,
yeah,
12 Monkeys especially, when you're in the future in 12 Monkeys, the things you see,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's how Terry Gilliam does his visuals. There is so much detail going into this weird stuff.
yeah, and Fear and Loathing as well. It's it's an awesome. It's based upon an awesome book, and Johnny Depp, I think, portrays Hunter, or Hunter S. Thompson's alter ego in that movie very well. He's amazing in it, but it still feels like it's not Terry Gilliam at his best, to put it like that, because it doesn't feel like a Terry Gilliam movie. It feels like he was hired in to do that movie because Johnny Depp liked him as a director.
Well, and I think as far as it goes, treating someone else's property is what he did, and he put his own touch on it. You can see
Yeah,
his touch in the film, but he was definitely doing it as an adaptation of someone else's property, trying to stay true to the original property and not really verge into his own thing too much.
yeah. That is.
Great film though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. By no, I mean that's the thing about even the movie that comes up next. I would say because I spent some time today actually watching the Brothers Grimm. Just
You
because.
missed one. You missed one. Same
Uh,
here. I don't know which came out first. I'm just looking at the IMDb list. I mean, let's do Brothers Grimm first, just
yeah,
because it's even more studio polish.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I realize. Yes, I know. Tideland but Tideland came after Brothers Grimm.
okay.
Yeah, the the thing the thing that the reason why I actually don't mind the Brothers Grimm as much as other people do. I know it's the favorite sort of uh people like to get on the back of Terry Gilliam for making that movie, but it's the here's the thing. His stories very often read like the original Brother Grimm's fairy tales. The and I'm
Especially Tideline.
Yeah, the original ones. We're not talking about the after the Victorian time sort of rewrites and the Edwardian rewrites that sort of toned it down amazingly. I mean the amount of blood and gore that are in and the darkness in some of the Brothers Grimm fairy tales is very important to remember when you watch that movie. And that is why I actually think it's not necessarily such a bad movie, and I do like the angle of them being sort of rationalists that are kind of tricking old farmers and such that I like that angle. But I totally get why people think it's not the best Terry Gilliam movie. Of course it's not.
No, no, no. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it as a movie. Uh, I thought it was better than I think people gave it credit for. I thought it was a lot more fun at any rate,
Yeah.
than people gave it credit for.
It's a more high culture Hansel and Gretel, in my opinion.
Yes, far fewer motherfuckers in the Brothers Grimm than in
Yes.
Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah. And I don't mind that movie either. And not just here to be completely honest, I know the director of Hansel and Gretel, so yeah, I should be completely honest and say that before I sort of air my opinion about Hansel and Gretel. But I still think it's a good movie. I still think Brothers Grimm is an entertaining and good movie. It's not a giant, thought-provoking movie, but just like Baron von Munchausen, it's made for the hell of it. Now the next
Yeah, pretty
movie,
much.
yeah, the next movie on the list, which yeah, probably will be the last one we'll discuss. I don't know if you
Uh,
feel like dragging on for another 14,
well,
15 minutes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we can get through the
Yeah,
last three. Tideland.
yeah.
What can you say about Tideland? As dark as some of his other films have been, and as dark as the endings of some of his films, this film feels like it starts where another one of his films would have ended. That's how dark
Yes.
this is.
Yeah, and it is the kind of he always I mean, he looks at a lot of adult themes on a very through very childish eyes, I guess. I would say.
Yeah, this is a horror story.
Yeah, it is, and not just this. This is probably the saddest one of his stories, but yet it's told in such a how do you? It's told through the
Naive.
eyes. Yeah, it's told through the eyes of the child. It's told in a very naive way, but it's so powerful. The beginning. I mean, the spoiler alert if you haven't watched the movie, which you if you're viewers of our podcast, you should have watched it before you watched this podcast because you knew we were going to discuss it, so you should have watched it.
We gave you homework.
Yeah, we gave you homework to
That's how this
watch this.
works.
So, but the idea of this kid losing first her mother and then her father through the first 20 minutes of the movie.
If that, you know.
Yeah,
Do
if that.
you want me to do the setup for it real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, basically, it is about this 6 to 9 year old little girl who lives with her heroin addicted parents. Um, and her mom ODs and dies in the first 2 minutes of the film. Her dad is so messed up and freaks out, he tries to burn the mom's body, but she convinces him not to just say a prayer and then we can leave. They go out to his mom's house, who he hasn't seen in God knows how many years. Nobody lives there, where he proceeds to OD and die.
Yeah.
So the story is about
that's the
a little
setup.
girl,
Yeah.
a little girl in a house by herself in the middle of a field, not near anything else, with her dead father.
Yeah. And the thing is that she thinks he's sleeping. That's the way that she handles the fact that he's dead. She convinces herself that he's sleeping all the time. And then she walks around and she kind of walks through a fairy tale adventure while she is dealing with this death of her father and her mother.
I mean, it's safe to say she doesn't deal with it.
No, she doesn't deal with it. That's a very good point.
But she has these dolls,
Yeah.
and she has these dolls' heads. To kind of tell you what kind of childhood she's having already.
Yeah.
And one of the dolls' head, the main doll, knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And it says and hints at things. And then she meets the people who live on the other side of the field. And it gets darker from there. I don't want to really go any more into that because that's where the film really kind of takes off.
Yeah, it is that you should really just watch the movie, and I'm not saying that your life will be changed or you'll be saved and you'll become like Gene, but you might become like me instead, and that's cool.
Tall and into wood carving.
Yeah, tall and into wood carving.
Well, the next film I'm going to just jump through the Imaginarium, Dr. Parnassus, because I couldn't think of a concise way to describe this film other than the Wizard of Oz on cocaine.
And then also remembering that it was Heath Ledger's last movie, and it didn't get the same kind of recognition that Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight got.
Now, one neat thing I do want to mention about it, when you go in to watch this film, know that all the stuff in the, I'll put in quotes, real world for this film, they had been filming.
Yeah.
For the most part. Died mid-filming. And then, I can't remember all of them, Johnny Depp.
Jude Law.
Jude Law.
Oh, damn. You went off again.
Oh, I should still be. I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now. You just went all robot. So yeah, it was Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell.
Came in, and there's like four separate stories in this, but three of them take place technically in another world. So what they did was they all played the same character that Heath Ledger was playing. They just each
Yeah,
took one of his roles.
yeah, but
Um,
it's still very disjointed. The story of, I mean, the backstory of the idea behind it is that Dr. Parnassus is the same Dr. Parnassus from the Faustian deal, if I'm not completely mistaken.
See, I own it. I've watched it once. I haven't delved too deeply into it.
Yeah. Well, the idea is that he basically has to, make another deal with the devil or make another deal with death, and it's a very particular type of film, and I wouldn't say that it's not bad, but it's
I
definitely not
didn't
his best. You know.
I didn't enjoy it.
No, 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 and that's the thing. Even with Tideland, you sort of you don't enjoy the movie, but you still get left with something. After the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, I still felt like I wasn't left with anything because it didn't stick by me. I mean, even Brothers Grimm left something behind me.
Yeah, Tideland. It's dark.
Yeah.
It's depressing. It's grim as all can get out. But on some level, I can say I enjoyed it as a film, experience. I can't say that about the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. I it's the one where if you watch some of these other films, find yourself a Terry Gilliam fan, watch it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it for just casual viewing.
No, no, don't start with that. Start with something like Time Bandits. I'd have to say. And now the next one, I haven't seen it because maybe because of Dr. Parnassus. Maybe that sort of turned me on from Terry Gilliam for a while. And when that came out, I was sort of, yeah.
Well, I knew what it was about, and like me and Jan, one of the reasons we started to do this is because we kind of bring our own perspectives to things here. He's an atheist. I'm a fairly devout Christian. Uh, I try to be anyway. And so when I found out what the film was about, I it kind of put me off. The subject matter kind of put me off. It's pretty nihilistic. The idea is this guy gets hired basically to prove that everything is for nothing. That
Yeah.
that is the zero theorem, is that all of existence is meaningless, is what he is trying to prove in the film.
Yeah.
Now that being said, it is a very good film.
Yeah.
Uh
Which is kind
I-
of typical of Terry Gilliam.
yeah, and I guess that's the real takeaway from all of this, is that Terry Gilliam is a director who, even if you don't love his film, you're going to get something out of it emotionally, which you can't say about a lot of filmmakers. I definitely can't say that about somebody like Tim Burton,
No,
who
no,
would
and he
probably,
was also on the list for these two podcasts.
well, I was kind of split between, for this podcast, just talking about Terry Gilliam, whom, like, as you can tell, I love as a director, or spending the time comparing someone like Terry Gilliam, who makes great films that aren't necessarily fun to watch.
No, exactly. He is. If you like Tim Burton because of his quirkiness, but you feel he has no depth, go for Terry Gilliam. Terry
Yeah, if you
Gilliam is the quintessential sort of deep alternative storyteller that can use like newer um, newer technology to tell more deeper and interesting stories. He is the kind of person that gets remembered over time, but he may not have been so great at the moment he made his movies. He wouldn't
Yeah,
be. Yeah,
I could see in something like Zero Theorem, as much as I don't like nihilism as a philosophy, uh, you can really have a discussion after the film
yeah,
about what was happening and what happens at the end, which I've never sat through. There's not many films I can say I sat through in the last couple of years that have left me going, okay, okay, and really thinking about what you were feeling and what the film has made you
yeah,
feel. And that's the thing. I didn't enjoy the feeling necessarily that uh, this film provoked in me, because it is a very dark movie, just like Tideland.
yeah,
But at the same time, I was watching it and I was engrossed in it because it was making me feel anything at all. Normally I'll sit down, you watch a film, and it's like, haha, chuckles or
yeah,
oh, explosions. But this is like it's messing with your head a little. It's messing with how it's making you think, and
yeah.
the characters are really in there, and you actually start to care what happens to them. Uh,
I think I need to actually spend time and watch it now because
oh, definitely, definitely.
yeah, I'll put it on my list to do
And
for next marathon.
and to tie it back to Brazil, uh, and the reason, and one of the things I wanted to tie it back to is you said you kind of felt that Terry Gilliam was a little on the libertarian side. This film is about a business gone out of control.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, so he might be more a centrist, looking at all sides
well, I
as being
think he's,
insane.
I don't know. After the film, he may just be more of a nihilist.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
there's nothing wrong
yeah.
with that either.
No, no, it's just definitely it's a thought-provoking film,
Yeah,
and that Brazil style imagery is there.
yeah.
The technology is like, let me before we end real quick. I know Jan's about to pass out, and we've been going long. Just to describe a piece of technology, one of the things the guy's job is he doesn't crunch numbers; he crunches entities, far more complex than numbers.
Oh man, that is.
And the device he's on to work with it looks like a gaming controller with like 60 buttons on it, a little toggle switch, um, a joystick, and when he's at work, he's on this little seat, and the seat has bicycle pedals that raise the seat up and down.
Oh,
And
okay.
everything's recorded on like liquids, different vibrant colored liquids.
Oh
And
damn, I gotta watch it. That sounds perfect for me. Well, before we end, should we give our sort of recommendation of what to watch if you're gonna watch a Terry Gilliam movie tonight, for instance?
if you were going to watch something tonight, depending on your mood, I would say my personal favorite's The Fisher King because I can't watch that film without getting teary-eyed and laughing.
Yeah,
If you just want something fun and don't want to think too hard, go with Baron von Munchausen, The Adventures
yeah,
of Baron von Munchausen. If you want a little bit of fun and want to think a bit, go with Time Bandits.
I agree. I was gonna say Time Bandits and yeah, I was gonna say Time Bandits and Jabberwocky to if you want something sort of um just for the hell of it, I would say Jabberwocky, and want to learn something, Time Bandits. If you really just want to think about things, Tideline is such a thought-provoking movie.
Let's just say, if you watch, and what's hilarious about Toddland was it's the one film of his that he felt the need to go on and preface before it starts.
Yeah,
on the DVD copy, or I think every copy of it,
Every
before
copy.
you actually before you watch the film, he explains the
Yeah.
basics behind the story because it's so dark and has to do with a kid going through some really
Yeah.
disturbing stuff. Uh, yeah, it's
It
that
is a very, very dark movie. Don't watch it if you're depressed, because it's if you want to watch something Terry Gilliam and you're depressed, watch Time Bandits, because yeah, it will still kind of confirm your belief that God is a dick, but it will also make you laugh that God is a dick. And
yeah,
I don't even believe in God, so yeah.
it's a very very Stephen King-ish interpretation of divine power.
Yeah.
Uh,
You want to take us out now? Cause yeah.
all right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in on this very unorthodox episode of the Tagline. This has been Gene the Angry Penguin and J.H. Lillevik, the Meerkat Monarch, King of Salt. And you can find him on the Unsolicited Opinion podcast on Fridays at. Did you ever get that time stuff straightened?
It's 10 o'clock CET, so it's 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
All right, and thank you all for tuning in. You can catch him, Dr. Evil, Art of Asira, and just a random crew of fun-loving people who will then proceed to shit on current events. Y'all have a great night.
Bye.